and salutations. This is the voice of Loquacious of Herd, bringing you his afterthoughts on My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Season 8, Episode 5, titled Grannies Gone Wild. I heartily suggest you find and watch the episode itself, sans commentary, before proceeding with either this Spoken Herd Afterthoughts review or viewing my full reaction, which is hosted at the link in the description. Please support the official release. Be warned, this Afterthoughts review will contain spoilers for the episode. With that out of the way, on to the review. We're continuing into Season 8 with yet another fun slice-of-life romp. Once again, the new major plot and story elements for this season, Twilight School, is largely absent. But that fits with how previous seasons have handled their own overarching stories. After Season 4 premiere, it wasn't until Episode 8 that we got our first Key Quest episode. After the Season 5 premiere, it wasn't until Episode 8 that we got our first plot device, cutie map episode. For the last season, it wasn't until Episode 16 that we got our first Legend of Equestria story. So, as for what's going on now? As Rainbow Dash is wonderbolting, she hears from her fellow bolts about the bestest, mostest, awesomest roller coaster ride ever.
I'm so glad I made it to Las Pegasus before the fastest, most thrilling ride of all time closes for good!
Wait, the fastest, most thrilling ride of all time? She hasn't heard of the Wild Blue Yonder? Of course I have! It's that one where, Alright, you got me. What is it?
Only the coolest roller coaster ever!
The Wild Blue Yonder in Las Pegasus is a thing that is relevant to RD's interests. And in short order, she's gushing to every pony she knows about this ride. A slight problem, as mentioned, she's never ridden it. Less slight problem, also as mentioned, it's going to close soon. Apparently forever.
The ride closes this week. Forever. But I can't go to Las Pegasus because I have to teach at Twilight School. I'm gonna miss out on the coolest roller coaster of all time. Unless... Why do I feel like you're about to ask me a mighty big favor? Can you cover my classes?
Okay, so is the conflict going to be finding someone to cover Rainbow Dash's classes so she can take off? Let me guess, Applejack is going to say no?
Absolutely. Really? Awesome!
Well, so that's not what's going on then. Are there conditions to AJ's assistance?
On one condition. You tag along with a few other ponies going to Las Pegasus. Surely you don't mean Granny Smith. No, of course not. I mean Granny Smith and the rest of the Gold Horseshoe Gals. Hurry your haunches, Hennies! Grand Auntie Applesauce, Cousin Apple Rose, and Cousin Goldie Delicious.
Ah, and here's where the conflict gets its start. Rainbow Dash will have to act as chaperone to Granny Smith and the rest of the Gold Horseshoe Gals. I'm getting strong Golden Girls references already, and I'm quite sure that's intentional. Well, it's nice to see that Applejack, who has historically been, let's be kind and say, a wee bit overprotective of her family, is willing to let Rainbow Dash be the pony to accompany the gals to Las Pegasus. Really, just thinking back to how much she's progressed since Somebody to Watch Over Me, and how poorly AJ dealt with Apple Bloom being out of her sight.
Here. I made a list to help you keep the grandmares out of trouble. Don't want to have to bring them back home before you get to go on your roller coaster. That could happen? Only if you don't follow the rules. These grannies need a lot of care. If one of them overdoes it, it's bye-bye Las Pegasus for the lot of you. Make sure they get their naps. Eat only soft foods. Careful when dancing. Don't get too excited. Seriously? And don't let them out of your sight. Ever.
I retract everything I just said. Applejack is as bad as ever. And now she's saddled Rainbow Dash to keep the gals far more in line than I suspect they wish to be. All of which will make it more difficult for every pony on this trip, Rainbow Dash included, to actually have the fun experiences that they are going to Las Pegasus for. Thankfully, they don't overdo it with the whole Rainbow Dash is fast, the gals in the hot air balloon are slow, odd couple pairing. Fast versus slow isn't the main difficulty here. No, the difficulty lies in what all the gals want to do versus Applejack's overprotective nature, manifested here in the form of Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash attempts to railroad the gals into quiet, restful, and boring activities, preferably sleep, so she can get away to ride the Wild Blue Yonder. Thankfully, RD won't have far to go if she can get the gals settled.
The Wild Blue Yonder is in our hotel? I bet you Grannies are feeling super tired from your journey.
Nope. How about a trot down the avenue to see the sights, girls?
Oh, forget the sights. I came here to play some serious horseshoe toss.
Oh, can we see the rainbow fountains at the water show? They're so magical.
My paws are crying for a mud mask at the Prison Palace Ball. You know what would be really fun? Relaxing in our room. Come on, last one to the hotel is a rotten apple.
Let me get that for you.
I haven't said it in a while, but sweet Celestia, the faces this season! As always, the good folks working on this show keep on upping the ante with their animation, both foreground and background. It makes the episodes a delight to watch, and a greater delight to re-watch. Anyway, things aren't off to a good start. Also, I'm amused that the hotel they're staying at is one of Flim and Flam's properties. In fact, that the hotel, and by extension the roller coaster ride, the Wild Blue Yonder, are Flim Flam properties, makes me wonder as to exactly why the ride is shutting down. Is it an issue of past due maintenance? Safety code violations? Unsafe practices? Or is it all just a scam to drum up business while they renovate and rebrand it as some other coaster? Heck, considering it's Flim and Flam, maybe they'll just repaint the thing and advertise the grand opening of a brand new bestest roller coaster. My curiosity on this point shan't be satisfied by the episode itself, as this isn't the central conflict we're focusing on. No, the conflict is shown quite clearly here.
Oh! Warm up those withers, ladies! There's a horseshoe hurling trophy with our names on it!
Don't let them get too excited, or you'll have to go home.
Whoa. That sounds a little too exciting. Why don't we get you checked in first?
Yeah, Applejack's gotten into Rainbow Dash's head. And Rainbow Dash is now the fun police, keeping the gals from doing the things they like. I do like how even this early in the episode, we learn that apparently the Gold Horseshoe Gals are not merely regulars, but apparently very well-respected regulars, meriting their own reserved suite. Clearly, the gals have been doing this for a long time, and they know what they're up to. Also, given what the Grannies are up to, I'm thinking that not only does Applejack not usually accompany them, but that Big Mac, who is the gals' usual chaperone, has been covering for them for quite some time. I picture the usual return from Las Pegasus involving AJ asking Big Mac, "So, did the gals behave themselves?" followed by a faux sincere, "Yup," from him. Now, though, RD's trying to rein them in.
Granny Smith's right. Let's not overdo it. How about a nice nap so you can really enjoy Las Pegasus?
A good idea. We could use some shut-eye.
But I'm not tired. Oh, right. Yawn. You go along now and explore while we rest, Sugar Booger. Yawn.
If you say so. What? They'll be in here sleeping the whole time I'm gone. Quit judging me.
Rainbow Dash, I'm only judging you on your gullibility. The gals are fine. They're old hands at this sort of fun vacation. They've been doing this for years, and they've clearly learned how to ditch an overly controlling chaperone. Well, the line at Wild Blue Yonder is impressive, Doubly so since it includes a cameo appearance from Rick and Morty in pony form. You know, one of these days I'm going to have to actually watch the Rick and Morty show. Perhaps I'll slot it in as something else to do blind reactions to. Realizing she won't be able to make it through the line before the gal's nap would be over, Rainbow chooses responsibility and loyalty to her charges over fun, and sadly heads back to the room, only to discover she's been Rainbow ditched. Her panicked search for the gals finds them, and then the ghostly vision of AJ's overprotectiveness leads to Dash subsequently ruining first the gals' game of horseshoes, then their meal.
Come on, Granny! You know you can't have those! They're super crunchy! How about some nice, soft carrot soup instead?
I thought you were supposed to be the fun one.
Next, RD throws the proverbial wet blanket over the gals' dancing, and, at last, ruins their participation in a stage magic show.
Don't try this at home, folks.
Do I really have to say anything? Release those grannies right now! Get.
What you going to do that for?
Well, Rainbow Dash is being overprotective because Applejack... Wait a moment, back up. Was that Trixie's dad as one of the two magicians?
And now, a disappearing act.
Cool. Looks like it is. Anyway, time for the confrontation and the resolution.
You keep ruining our fun. I had a hot hoof going in that game you decided to lose for us.
And I wanted to eat those nachos at the buffet.
And I could have torn up the dance floor if you didn't keep stopping me.
They're being too polite to say it, so I will. Rainbow Dash, we thought you'd be a hoot, but I ain't never met a wetter hen.
What?
She's right. You've had your mane in a twist ever since we arrived.
Is something the matter, dear?
I'm so sorry, every pony. The truth is, all I wanted to do for this whole trip is ride the Wild Blue yonder. I mean, it's why I came to Las Pegasus in the first place. Applejack told me not to let you out of my sight, or you might overdo it and we'd have to go home early. Applejack put you up to this?
Oh,
I had no idea.
Ah, I see the gals have dealt with Applejack's overprotectiveness before. And now that the gals and their chaperone are all on the same page, it's time to work together so they can all have fun.
We've been coming here every moon since we can remember. Even some we don't remember.
It definitely has its perks. Like fancy sweets and roller coaster rides?
That's right. And I hope you like riding in the front.
Yes! This is amazing! Isn't this amazing?
Sugar, you probably want to hold on back now.
It's a nice resolution. Artie learns to trust that the gals are able to judge their own levels of fitness and make informed decisions about what risks they're interested in taking to have a good time. And the lot of them bond, with Rainbow Dash even being officially inducted into the Gold Horseshoe Gals Club, with a standing invite for other Las Pegasus red carpet outings. The only thing that was at all less than satisfying again came at the very end, with the ghost of Applejack's head giving an approving wink? Really, Applejack was the main driver of conflict in this episode. She's the one who saddled Rainbow Dash with chaperone duty, and then was so very forceful and over the top about what that chaperone duty entailed. Applejack, from what we saw, didn't learn anything. Regardless, it was a fun episode overall. Loved the return to Las Pegasus, loved the characters of all the gals, and loved all the background tidbits and Easter eggs. While I'm looking forward to whatever the next stage of the whole Twilight School story thread will be, these little slice-of-life adventures are certainly a pleasant way to further expand on characters and locations which we have come to know and love. If you wish to see my full reaction to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 8, Episode 5, titled Grannies Gone Wild, the link, as I mentioned earlier, is in the description. Feel free to leave any comments or likes for that reaction here on this Afterthoughts review. And until next time, as always, kindly remember, y'all are awesome. Stay awesome.